Princess Sarah's Journey. Episode 1, The Princess Who Felt Too Small. Morning light spilled across the kingdom of Luminera like melted gold. Towers shimmered, banners fluttered high in the breeze, and the castle bells rang proudly to greet the day. Knights trained in the courtyards, merchants opened their stalls, and laughter drifted through the streets like music. Everything about the kingdom felt big and bright and important. It was a place where heroes were made and stories were born. From far away, it looked like the perfect world, full of courage and celebration. But inside the tallest tower of the grandest castle, behind one small window, lived a quiet heart that did not feel big at all. Princess Sarah sat curled beside her window, her chin resting on her knees as she watched the busy world below. Knights clashed swords like thunder. Royal children practiced speeches with proud, booming voices. Servants hurried past with confident steps. Everyone seemed certain of themselves, like they belonged exactly where they stood. But Sarah felt different. The room around her was beautiful and grand, yet she felt tiny inside it, like a single candle in a giant hall. No matter how bright the morning grew, a small shadow followed her heart. Through the day, Sarah moved quietly through the castle halls. At meals, laughter bounced loudly from wall to wall while her own voice stayed hidden behind her lips. At gatherings, others danced and told brave stories while she lingered near the edges, tracing shapes in the stone. People smiled politely, but they hurried past as if the wind carried them away. It wasn't that anyone was unkind. It was worse. It felt like no one noticed her at all. Like she were a shadow that followed the sunlight but never touched it. That afternoon, the castle buzzed with excitement for the Festival of Greatness. Colorful ribbons hung from every tower, music filled the air, and royals prepared their grand talents. Some polished armor. Others practiced songs or tricks that sparkled like fireworks. Sarah held only a small bracelet she had woven from garden flowers. It wasn't grand or dazzling. It was simple and gentle, just like her. As she imagined stepping onto the stage, her hands grew cold. A quiet voice whispered that she wasn't enough. Before anyone could notice her fear, she slipped away. Her feet carried her down a hallway she had never taken before. The noise of the festival faded behind her, replaced by stillness. Old portraits watched from dusty walls, their frames tilted with age. Light filtered through cracked windows, painting soft lines across the floor. At the very end stood a narrow door wrapped in ivy, almost hidden, almost forgotten. Something about it tugged gently at her heart. With careful hands, Sarah pushed it open and stepped into the quiet unknown. Inside the room stood an ancient mirror, taller than Sarah and framed in silver that shimmered like moonlight. Its surface rippled like water instead of glass. She stepped closer and saw herself staring back, small shoulders, careful eyes. Then the reflection flickered. It began to fade. Slowly, gently, like mist disappearing at dawn. Her shape grew thinner, lighter, until nothing remained. The mirror showed only emptiness. Sarah's breath caught. It was as if she had never existed at all. The mirror shifted again, revealing the castle halls in motion. Life continued just as before, laughter, work, celebration, but Sarah was nowhere. Her chair at dinner was gone. Her room stood empty. Her footsteps made no sound. No one searched for her. No one called her name. The world moved forward like a river, and she had simply vanished from it. The ache in her chest deepened, because the most painful part wasn't disappearing. It was realizing that no one seemed to notice she was gone. Tears filled her eyes, but with them came memories, small, quiet ones. The gardener smiling when she helped water the roses. A lost kitten asleep in her lap. The cook thanking her for tasting a new recipe. Her little cousin calming down just by holding her hand. No trumpets had played for those moments. No crowds had cheered. Yet each memory glowed warmly inside her chest. Maybe strength didn't always roar. Maybe sometimes it whispered. Maybe quiet kindness mattered more than she ever realized. When her name was finally called that evening, Sarah stepped onto the stage with trembling hands but steady feet. No shining armor. No grand tricks. Only a basket of flowers. Instead of performing, she walked through the crowd, placing one flower into the hands of the cooks, the guards, the maids, the stable boys, the quiet helpers who were never cheered. One by one, their surprised faces warmed into smiles. The square grew still. Something gentle spread through the air like sunlight after rain. And for the first time, the kingdom truly saw her. Later that night, Sarah returned to the forgotten room. The mirror stood quiet once more. She looked into it and saw herself clearly, not bigger, not brighter, just real. Present. Enough. She smiled softly, and this time the reflection smiled back without fading. Outside, the stars shimmered in the dark sky, small but steady, lighting the world together. Sarah finally understood. Feeling small did not mean she was small. Even the quietest light could guide the way. And from that night on, she chose not to hide, but to shine in her own gentle way.